It's Wednesday, and today's the day we go deep on the waiver wire. Again, we're looking at quarterbacks, we're looking at tight ends, we're looking at running backs, we're looking at those wide receivers. We're going deep on the waiver wire. We're looking at waiver wire players for deep leagues, shallow leagues, guys that probably should have been rostered but might be sitting on your waiver wire. All of it's going to be here. If you want even deeper on wide receivers and running backs, I dropped 2 videos yesterday going 20 plus deep on both positions. But today, we're doing it all. And before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're talking about the waiver wire every day. On top of that, we're using these videos to help you set these lineups because we're looking at those matchups. And then we are also doing deep dives on as many players as possible every single day. Ric Flair's watching you. Do not disappoint Ric Flair. Click that button. Stop missing out. But we're going to start out with my favorite drinker of all time. Drink Me, Drink Maye is here. He's been productive these last 2 weeks in fantasy football. He's been getting the job done. Last week, we only had 3 quarterbacks surpass 300 yards passing. It's been dank this year. Drake Maye, though, has been a breath of fresh air for the New England Patriots in the passing game. He's really pushing the ball downfield. Doing well for a rookie. Doing okay for a rookie. He's still a rookie. He's still ramping up to the NFL game. But if you're looking for a spot start here and there off the waiver wire, Drake Maye is a guy to look at because he's going to be in these matchups where he's slinging the rock. Maybe not against the Jets. Maybe not against Tennessee. But there's going to be favorable matchups down the line for Drake Maye. Hunter Henry's a tight end to look at off the waiver wire. He's got 14 targets with Drake Maye over the last 2 weeks. That's something to look at. He's an up and down tight end, but all tight ends that are not top tier tight ends are up and down, and even your top tier tight ends are up and down. And we've been making fun of the tight end position as a whole this whole year because sometimes there are weeks, there have been a lot of weeks, where like the top 8 tight ends are barely hitting 10 fantasy points. That being said, Hunter Henry's running more routes. He's getting more opportunity in this offense with Drake Maye throwing the rock around. That's something you may want to look at. But Kayshon Boutte is a prospect to monitor. He's running a lot of routes. These last 2 weeks, he's getting more workload. In week 6, he scored that touchdown. Last week, 37 routes and an 88 route participation rate, almost 90%. This is a wide receiver to pay attention to. JaMycal Hasty, if you're really hurting at running back and you just need touches, you need some routes, you need some targets, you can look at him. You're watching Antonio Gibson, you're watching Ramondre Stevenson. I'm not going to suggest investing into the Patriots backfield because that's not really an advantageous thing to do. But you got to do what you got to do. You know your team. You know what you got to do. And this is a player here that's seeing some workload over these last 2 games that might help you in a bind. Russell Wilson has some life back in him. 264 yards passing, and he's just chucking it to George Pickens. What he needs to do. We got the Giants coming up. He's going to be a hot waiver wire quarterback. A lot of people are going to be reluctant to look at him. But Russell Wilson was looking good against the Jets. He was looking good. He was moving the offense. This is a quarterback that might be on waivers for you, but Jaylen Warren's back, and if you were drafting him around the 10th round or so, depending on what format you were drafting him on, about a month and a half, 2 months ago, now you can get him for free off the waiver wire, so why not? Why not take that chance because he's getting work in the passing game, he's running more routes, he's getting more opportunities, running more snaps as he's progressing back from this injury, and the ball's moving more flowy in the offense with Russell Wilson back there. We're going to see some big moments, and he's getting opportunities. Cade Otton is the hot tight end off the waiver wire. He's my #1 tight end. However, if you've been listening to me, he should already be rostered because we've been talking about him every single week. He's running a lot of routes. He's getting some targets here. He's up and down like many tight ends, but he's a little bit more consistent, and we know what happened to them Tampa Bay Buccaneer wide receivers. Chris Godwin gone for the year. Mike Evans going to be gone for a bit. Cade Otton, he's going to be getting a lot of work. Jalen McMillan's a hot rookie wide receiver on the market right now, and he ran a lot of routes last week, got a lot of opportunity, and that should only increase because Chris Godwin's out. I look for him to play in that role, work all over the field, slot, outside, everything else, just like Godwin. He had a good rapport with Baker Mayfield. He was hurt earlier this season. He was running a lot of snaps and routes earlier in the year, the first 3 games of the season. That's definitely going to come back to fruition. Let's see if that can equate to fantasy production. It may not, but the volume's going to be there. He was a very trendy rookie wide receiver and has the chance to be that wide receiver that comes out of nowhere. Trey Palmer's the deep threat in this offense now. He's going to take over that Mike Evans role. So you might see a couple deep shots here and there in some games. Could deliver huge production for your fantasy football team. I look for him to be a spotty asset for fantasy. A guy that's a roller coaster. 1 week he hits, next couple weeks he doesn't. 1 week he hits. It's going to be one of those types of deals with Trey Palmer. But this is going to be an advantageous situation for him because he's going to be stretching the field a lot. Sean Tucker is going to be part of the carousel effect in the Tampa Bay backfield, and you do not normally see this in backfields. I'm very geeking out about this because we have 3 running backs getting touches. We are into halftime, and the running back touches were pretty much split, close to dead nuts even. Tucker got a little bit of run. I'm more favorable to the veteran running backs. I'm counting Bucky into that, even though he's a rookie, but I'm more favorable towards the incumbents here, mainly because you got your main hoss wide receivers out. But I think he's going to be a thorn in their side, though, sucking up about 5 to 10 touches a game, getting a little bit of opportunity, and you're just hoping he crosses the goal line. You may not want that. You may do want that, but he does have a lot of talent. He has a lot of upside. They're not going to completely ignore him. He did earn a few series a game here and there. That being said, Sean Tucker's a player to monitor. Tua is back, and Tua can throw 300 yards a clip. And he's a quarterback you want to pay attention to. You got Waddle. You got Tyreek Hill. You can get the yards after the catch with those guys. This could be a splash end of the year for the Miami Dolphins. And Jalen Wright could be a part of that with that 4.3 speed. He's starting to get more opportunities as the year ramps up. He's looking good with his opportunities. He's a home run threat. Look at him as like a Keaton Mitchell. Look at him like what you saw with Isaac Garando. On any given play, he could house it. He has that type of speed. Jauan Jennings is stepping in as one of the hot waiver wire claims this week because Brandon Ayuk's out for the year. We know what happens when one of these wide receivers is out and Jauan Jennings gets the opportunities, he gets the targets. Everybody's rolling to get him. That's an easy pickup because everybody's screaming it. But Ricky Pearsall led this team in route participation rate. Routes ran. Jennings was out, Ayuk was hurt, Debo was hurt, but Pearsall getting some run in the offense as a rookie in his first game, seeing 5 targets, that's something that could build on going forward. He could play more of that Ayuk role where he's stretching it downfield a little bit, being moved around the offense. It will look a little different, but he's a very nuanced route runner. Colby Parkinson is a tight end to pay attention to here because he's getting volume. It's up and down like with most tight ends, but the Rams are spreading the ball around, and he is getting targets, and there are some games where he's seeing double-digit targets. Tyler Allgeier is one of the top handcuffs in the National Football League. If something happens to Bijan Robinson, he's seeing about 20 opportunities a game. That's just going to lead to fantasy production. I know there could be some downward volatility due to football being football, but that's going to lead to fantasy production. If something happens to Bijan, you're going to want Tyler Allgeier. Braelon Allen's the same case. Something happens to Breece Hall, you're going to want Braelon Allen. We've already seen the effect of that to a degree with him sharing the workload. We know he's going to be using the passing game. We know he's going to get those tough runs up the gut. But if something happens to Breece Hall, you're going to want Braelon Allen. Noah Fant is the man here. DK Metcalf banged up. Fant could be seeing more targets, more routes ran, more snaps. He's good in the passing game. Has tremendous size, adjusted athleticism. Cedric Tillman, 12 targets with Amari Cooper gone, and he's getting a lot of volume. Should be playing on the outside, should be stretching the field. Look for him to get a good average depth of target too, because we saw that with him in college. Cedric Tillman, sneaky play, especially if you're really hurting at wide receiver. Troy Franklin, deeper leagues. If you're trying to be contrarian, if you're trying to be early, if you got an extra spot, you may want to look at him. These last 2 weeks, the workload has been ramping up. He is one of the best wide receivers in this year's class. This was a very good wide receiver class. Fell to the 4th round, but the Broncos had to trade up to get him to get the deal done, to get him on their team. It was a ramp-up process. Usually, it's the back end of the rookie season, if not year 2, for when rookies start to produce on the football field. A 24% target share last week, 6 targets, ran on 66% of the routes. All those numbers are going up slowly. Troy Franklin's the guy to pay attention to. Keon Coleman, 7 targets, 29 routes ran. We got Amari Cooper, though. Amari Cooper only ran on 34% of the routes. That should increase to about 90%. So Amari Cooper's going to suck up target share. But I look for Keon Coleman. As he ramps up to the NFL game, I don't think he's really at his peak yet. Of course, he's a rookie. He's kind of a volatile rookie at that. Keon Coleman will be a volatile, spiky option. You either want that or you don't. Gabe Davis effect, Will Fuller effect. Here with Keon Coleman, that's probably what we're going to see until he gets more established in his role. Tim Patrick, Kalif Raymond. With Jameson Williams out these next 2 games, you may want to look at that. I'm not really endorsing that. But in matchups and you're in a sticky spot, or if you're playing DFS, or if you're in a deeper league, you may be looking at these 2 wide receivers. I'll go Raymond over Patrick, but it's kind of tight with the routes, and I think it's just situational with these wide receivers. Trey Benson is an upside play. If Connor goes out, he's just an upside play. He's an upside gamble. Amari Demicado is probably going to work in there and split half the touches. He'll get the money touches in the receiving game. So this is going to be a split backfield if something happens to James Conner, but he is a tremendous upside play due to the draft capital of this year and the 4.3 speed. Kimani Vidal, same thing. Same thing. J.K. Dobbins, if he goes down, Kimani Vidal is going to be the huge pickup. He's going to be the huge pickup with that speed, that size, just athleticism, go between the tackles and catch the ball in the backfield. Rashod Bateman is here. He is here. I look for him to be a little bit volatile, but we have been consistent over these last 3 weeks with decent production, if not grandiose production, a 19% target share with a 23 average depth of target. Going into this game, we had an 8 out of 13. We're getting deep balls. Deep balls are volatile, but deep balls are what you want for your wide receiver 2 in an offense. In this offense, you got Zay Flowers soaking up targets if he's in or out due to that injury, but he's getting deep balls. He's getting targeted deep downfield. He's cooking guys with the route running. Rashod Bateman's back from those injuries. He's looking good, and the fantasy production is ramping up. Tyler Goodson, if Jonathan Taylor's out, okay. You also got Trey Sermon there. The backup Colts running backs are going to be up and down. 2.8 yards after contact per attempt. That's okay. We got the touchdown. We got 51 yards. Nothing to fall in love with, but still, if you need the touches, here you go. Tyrone Tracy, if he fell back to the waiver wire, you snatch him up right now and you just eat that shit. We got a bad matchup against the Steelers. The Giants are bad, but he's getting workload. He's getting used in the passing game. One of the top running backs in the National Football League in routes ran with 27. You want that out of your running backs? You want that speed out of your running backs? He's already proven to be productive. He's already said he can compete at the NFL level. You pick him up if he got dropped. Dearness Johnson, if you're really hurting at running back, here's some touches. Here's some touches. He's getting some work with ETN now. If you need that work, here you go. Blake Corum is a grandiose stash with Kyren Williams, seeing 20-plus touches a game, 50-plus snaps per game, more like 55-plus snaps per game. That's a lot of work. If he goes down, which the odds is more immense with him getting that much work, because compared to some of the other top running backs, over the course of a whole season, he's running like a season and a half worth of snaps compared to your average running back. That being said, that's just more opportunities to get hurt. Blake Corum, a third-round pick, NFL-ready draft prospect, good athleticism, very dependable, a guy to look at. Kendre Miller, high-end athleticism here, good size. We got Alvin Kamara getting re-signed recently, but the thing about this, if Kamara gets hurt, Kendre Miller's going to be a big piece in fantasy football. Everybody's going to want him. Maybe you want to be a week early. Maybe you don't have the room. Alexander Madison should be rostered. He's getting a hell of a workload. He's sending Zamir White off the space here. He's getting a lot of work in the passing game, runs up the gut and everything else. That's going to be great for fantasy football. The Raiders are highly volatile. You may not like that, but you may like playing the matchups with him. But those are the plays right now off the waiver wire. 30-plus players, looking at all the positions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. One thing for watching. Catch you on the next video.